It happened over the weekend. Dana White says he's retired. You were the undisputed champion. How are you feeling a few days after?
I mean, to be honest, I would have rather fought for it, of course. I did defend the interim though, which is a weird thing as well. To be honest, I always saw myself as a champion anyway. I think the whole Jon Jones thing was a bit weird. I think everybody can see that was a bit of a strange situation. But luckily now that is in the past and we can move on.
The hostility between Tom Aspinall and Jon Jones has risen following a heated Instagram Live, in which Aspinall addressed Jones directly. The two have not met, and their heavyweight career timelines hardly overlap. However, their antagonism has intensified in recent weeks as rumors of a historic UFC event at the White House spread. The conflict between the current heavyweight champion and the past champion is not driven by personal history, but by what they each represent. Aspinall represents the division's future, but Jones remains the name that carries more weight than any belt.
What a perfect time for Jon Jones to come out of retirement and fight Tom Aspinall at the White House next year for America's 250th birthday. What is more patriotic, what is more American than the best UFC fighter of all time, Jon Jones, fighting for the championship belt at the White House on America's 250th birthday? It's beautiful, it's poetic, it's perfect.
President Donald Trump made waves when he openly suggested that the UFC build an octagon on the White House lawn for a special event in 2026 commemorating the United States' 150th anniversary of independence. Dana White, who has a lengthy past with Trump, answered positively, adding, "I love it." When questioned about the potential, the UFC has not acknowledged or disputed the idea, but has stated that further information would be given later. Trump's plan, which was initially viewed as a publicity stunt, has taken on new significance with Jones' apparent approbation of the idea and his continued re-entry into the UFC drug testing pool.
UFC White House is crazy, dude. How's that even a thing? Is that allowed? Like, how is Donald even allowed to do that? Be kind of gangster though. Chandler versus McGregor, be kind of gangster. Aspinall, Jon Jones wants to fight on it. Classic. Back in the testing pool after 2 weeks. Bro is a troll and a half. He's not having his title back. That just can't be happening. All the ground trip would be sick.
Jones, who had retired following his victory over Stipe Miocic at UFC 309, reacted to a fan-created digital image of him defeating Aspinall inside the White House. With Trump sitting close, AC Graphics posted the image, and it quickly attracted popularity, and it was here that Jones replied, "I like this," which supporters took as a hint that he was in the fight. The tweet quickly went viral, with comments imploring the UFC to hold the fight and calling for Jones to complete his legacy by defeating the British champion. Jones and Trump have known one another for many years. Jones was asked at Trump's inauguration, along with Jorge Masvidal, Colby Covington, and Joe Rogan. Trump was sitting cage-side at UFC 309 and engaged in a passionate chat with Jones, following his first-round submission victory over Miocic.
I would even say this, and I don't know if this is controversial or not, but I would say that Jon Jones ducked Tom Aspinall so hard that he went through self-destructive measures just to avoid a fight with this man. That's how good Tom Aspinall is, and everyone you're gonna list off is gonna get beat.
Trump is a regular attendee at UFC events and has exploited his friendship with Dana White and the company to bring audiences that share his political views. And if any American president has the desire and connections to plan a White House UFC event, it is Trump. Dana White, who spoke at both of Trump's campaign conventions, has demonstrated a willingness to embrace spectacle and controversy, making the idea doable from both a promotional and logistical aspect.
As much as I love Tom and I want Tom to win, I couldn't pick against Jon Jones. I'll be honest, Tom's a friend. I love Tom. He's one of the coolest dudes in the whole of MMA. Even though Jones is getting old, I just can't pick against Jon Jones. I've been watching Jon Jones, as I say, since 2010.
Jones' comeback would not be instant, according to USADA rules. He must stay in the testing pool for 6 months before being permitted to participate again. Jones re-entered the pool in mid-2025. Therefore, his earliest return date would be January 2026. This is consistent with the expected schedule of the White House event. If the UFC follows through on Trump's request, Jones will be eligible for a summer 2026 card, possibly on July 4th. Meanwhile, Tom Aspinall has the heavyweight title and is publicly recognized as the undisputed champion. following Jones' retirement.
It's the legacy. To be able to go to the heavyweight division, take out everyone, and then take out the Jon Jones legend, you know, and then go back to even beating a few of these new school guys, will literally put Tom Aspinall as the GOAT of the heavyweight division.
Aspinall first won the temporary title in November 2023, defeating Sergey Pavlovich in the first round. He was expected to unify the belt against Jones, but the fight never happened. Instead, Jones focused on his legacy bout against Miocic. After defeating Miocic, Jones hinted at extra huge fights, before retiring in early 2025, leaving the division without a clear direction. Shortly after, Aspinall was crowned the unquestioned champion. Despite being the recognized champion, some have seen Aspinall's position as incomplete due to the lack of a bout against Jones. In an interview with Combat X, Aspinall refuted the claim that Jones stole a part of his prime. It's not all been bad because, to be honest, I don't feel like I'm in my prime yet, he told me. I feel like I still have some work to do before I get there. I'm still only 32. Aspinall stressed that he hopes to peak in his mid-30s and that the weight may have aided his growth as a boxer.
Tom Aspinall, and the gap between Tom and the rest of the division is pretty freaking wide.
Yeah, and it's almost like Jon has something against Tom Aspinall. Like, he just wanted to completely ruin his life in every way possible, and he's doing a great job of it. And yeah, it puts Tom in a tough spot. Like you say, he's definitely the biggest loser of this whole thing. And yeah, it makes it difficult now for him to, like, where does he go?
Aspinall's calm and reasonable attitude contrasts with how fans and the media have seen the division. Since Jones' promotion to heavyweight, the title picture has been chaotic. Francis Ngannou left the UFC as champion. Jones arrived and instantly won the vacant belt, while Aspinall emerged as a contender during this time of transition. Many people expected the UFC to schedule Jones versus Aspinall as the final battle to settle the division, but that never happened. This unresolved storyline has become a source of stress for both fighters, who are aware that the other is being used as a measuring stick.
That would be beyond disappointing, actually, from a marketing standpoint, from a landscape of where the UFC is standpoint. That would be a complete pay-per-view disaster.
We'd see the strength of the UFC brand at Madison Square Garden if that ends up being, because all respect to Tom, but he has never headlined a pay-per-view, so plopping him at the top of Madison Square Garden against Cyril Gane, I think would be tough, but we'll see what they can do.
Man, that would be tough. I mean, you'd have to have.
Jones has stayed a heavyweight contender even after retiring. Aspinall has responded by focusing on going forward. When he was upgraded to full champion, he wrote, "For you fans, it's time to get this heavyweight division moving, an active, undisputed winner." The comment was taken as a covert jab at Jones in action. Jones has only made one heavyweight title defense, beating Miocic, and has spent the most of his time in the division either injured or in talks.
And the fans shouldn't even have to make a petition to strip Jon Jones of the belt. That just shows you how dumb the UFC matchmaking is, especially when it comes to Jon Jones and all the way that the UFC operates around Jon Jones. The way that Jon Jones has Dana and the organization by the nuts is crazy.
Aspinall is due to make his maiden championship defense later this year, with Cyril Gane and Alexander Volkanovski among the contenders. Neither of these hypothetical battles has the same importance or attention as a fight with Jones. The division is still in motion, but with the likelihood of a White House battle, any title defenses Aspinall makes in the meanwhile will be viewed as stepping stones to a greater, more important confrontation. The scenario also raises concerns about Jones's physical health following such a long absence. If he returns in 2026, he will have been idle for almost 2 years. While Jones has demonstrated the ability to win after lengthy breaks, most notably in his return versus Miocic, Aspinall offers a new type of challenge. Aspinall, who is younger, faster, and more energetic, possesses traits that match up well against Jones, especially in today's competitive and diverse heavyweight landscape.
And say, no, you're not going to take this. And do you know what Jon Jones did? You have it. I don't want to fight. You can have it. This is unbelievable. The greatest of all time. What a load of shit. I'm sorry. Never going to call that him the GOAT. Ever again. Because being the greatest of all time is not just about winning. And that's what Jon Jones doesn't understand. It's about how you conduct yourself throughout the whole of your career. Are you willing to fight the biggest challenges, the biggest tests? Go in there and test yourself.
Jones' reputation has always been built on domination, not action. He has fought just for fights since 2019. Aspinall, on the other hand, has quickly built a resume that includes finishes and consistent performances. He has also become a fan favorite in the United Kingdom, where he is seen as the country's best hope for a long-term heavyweight king. The prospect of an American legend fighting a British champion on the White House grounds adds an international dimension to the UFC's most high-profile prospective battle.
Is Jon Jones scared to fight you?
Yes. Jon is conning the public. The fact that he didn't want to fight Ngannou for 3 years and now he's not wanting to fight me for over a year.
Is that fight fucking happening?
The UFC is saying that it's going to happen. I think it's down to him and Dana.
Dana loves Jon Jones.
He's trying to grease up his ego a little.
Dana White and the UFC are certainly aware of the fight's importance in both marketing and sport. A White House event would create major media coverage, political discussion, and international buzz. Jones' involvement would give it historical significance. Aspinall's involvement would give it a competitive edge. No other UFC matchup strikes the same balance of story, stakes, and unpredictability.
Well, that's the hard thing about giving opinions on this, because it's just opinions. Like, we don't know the facts of what's going on behind the scenes. We don't know what's been said from Jon's side or Aspinall's side, and you know, I do give to Aspinall the benefit of the doubt, believing that, you know, if he didn't think the Jon Jones fight was going to happen, like, he probably would have taken another fight. You know, where we're comparing it with the Chandler situation. You know, it felt to me, you know, I was.
The UFC has not held an event in Washington, D.C. since 2019, when Alistair Overeem's team fought against Jairzinho Rozenstruik. An event at the White House would necessitate huge logistical changes, including approval from several government departments and coordination between political and sporting authorities. Trump's personal participation, as well as his relationship with Dana White and Jon Jones, making it more likely than if the idea originated elsewhere. Trump has previously used the UFC as a cultural tool and is likely to promote the event as part of his 2026 campaign, whether he is in power or not.
USA, what's new with you? Kinda weird, but Trump wants to host a UFC fight in the White House. I have so many questions, but let's start with why. So next year in 2026 is our 250th birthday, and because of that, Trump wants to make a huge celebration and he wants to make it unforgettable. So he was like, how about we hold a UFC fight in the White House? And UFC is okay with that? Oh yeah, Trump is good friends with Dana White, who is the boss of UFC. Back in 2001, Trump helped Dana White and let him use his casino, Trump Taj Mahal, to host a UFC event.
Chito Vera's words on Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall added to an already heated argument in the UFC heavyweight class. When asked straight if Jones is afraid to fight Tom Aspinall, Vera gave a clear answer: no. His conclusion was based on the weight of Jones' heritage rather than a study of present talent or stylistic clashes.
It's Aspinall's fight. I mean, we've been talking to this kid forever about it, and it's his fight. Listen, you can't make people fight. If Jon doesn't want to fight, can't make him fight. We can try to make him fight. We can throw things at him that inspire him to want to fight, but we'll figure it out.
Vera says Jones does not need to face Aspinall. He has already cemented his place in history. Jones' exploits, which include being the youngest winner in UFC history and holding the light heavyweight title for nearly a decade, are unparalleled in the opinion of many competitors and pundits. Vera thinks that the absence of a duel against Aspinall does not diminish Jones' accomplishments.
He's like the longest running heavyweight champion in the history of the UFC, isn't he? But he's only he hasn't fought anyone. I don't think it's going to happen, you know. I think Jon gets a lot of money for being champion. I think the sponsors not paying him a fortune, and I think he's just dragging along, keeping the belt as long as possible because it's worth that much money to him. I mean, Jon's often struggled with tall people who are good boxers. I imagine he probably, if he did fight him, he would.
He does not need to fight Aspinall. He achieved everything. Vera spoke on the Makeshift podcast. He fought during his prime. He won the belt, the youngest ever. He has never lost his belt. Vera acknowledged Jones' troubles outside of the octagon, but stressed that nobody is flawless. Vera supported Jones' choice to walk away before a unification match with the interim champion, saying he should be able to retire at any time.
Hey, I'm Scott Johnson, host of Going Ringside Now. Jon Jones may be coming out of retirement for the chance to be involved in the White House UFC fight on the next 4th of July. Jon Bones Jones putting on X that, you know, he's re-entered the testing pool. This only lasted about 2 weeks.
That viewpoint, while shared by some, is not universal. Former UFC welterweight champion Leon Edwards boldly predicted Jones' defeat if he met Aspinall. His perspective varies from Vera's, showing a schism between fighters and fans on Jones' choice to retire. On the one hand, it is viewed as a wise choice for a combatant to go away while on top. On the other hand, it is understood as a retreat from a formidable opponent who does not yet have a legendary name.
What would it take to fight Tom Aspinall from the UFC? Like, what does the UFC got to do?
Said something real wild on off the cuff. I'll see you guys later.
That's it.
Yeah,
right.
Thanks for the happy
Jon
beer.
Jones, the legend.
Israel Adesanya thinks Jones will fight again. He cited Jones' social media activity as proof that his retirement may be transitory. Speaking on the Ariel Helwani show, Adesanya stated, "I believe he will return. It's the drama." He cited tweets and internet activity that suggest Jones is still involved with the sport. What are the kids calling it? Rage baiting. Speculation without any official comments.
Jones just got up and left after this Nelk interview. This has to be a joke. Surely Dana is going to have to strip Jon Jones because this can't keep happening. Like, you're the heavyweight champion, it's your job to defend the belt. And if you don't want to defend it, then retire. It's so strange to me. It's strange how the UFC keeps defending him. He's still the heavyweight champion but won't fight. And what is he expecting by going on all of these media tours when people bring up the question of Tom Aspinall? Like, he's on a media tour.
Adesanya also voiced concern over Jones holding up the division. Tom defended the belt. This is a defense of his book. Allow the split to keep moving. The statement admits that, wow, Jones' absence has caused uncertainty. Aspinall is actively trying to restore stability by competing on a regular basis. In contrast to Jones' solitary title defense at heavyweight, Aspinall has announced plans to fight at least twice before the end of the year. His likely opponents include Jailton Almeida, Cyril Gane, and Alexander Volkanovski. The contests may not have the name recognition of a Jones fight, but they show Aspinall's commitment to be active and present.
Why is he a coward in the octagon? When Jon Jones was building up his career on trying to become a legend, going through the whole roster, he was beating guys who were on the way out while he was in his prime. A young lion on the way up, right? And he was beating guys who were pretty much on the way out. However, Jon Jones, you're such a scared coward that you won't give the same opportunity that the legends gave you to Tom Aspinall. What do I mean by that? Well, guys,
regardless of whether Jones is afraid or justified in his retirement, UFC President Dana White revealed new information that complicates the story at the UFC 316 post-fight news conference. White announced that Jones has accepted a bout against Aspinall. This information changes the retirement slightly, according to White. Jones agreed to fight Aspinall but later changed his mind and decided to leave the sport. That single decision changed the course of the heavyweight division, transforming the title from an active rivalry to a succession by default.
Donald Trump just said that he wants to hold a UFC event at the White House next year for America's 250th birthday. And not just any UFC event, he wants to hold a championship UFC event at the White House next year. And this got me thinking, what a perfect time for Jon Jones to come out of retirement and fight Tom Aspinall at the White House next year for America's 250th.
White did not elaborate on what prompted Jones' change of heart, but the revelation showed that the fight was closer to reality than previously thought. Jones' past of withdrawing from fights, whether due to injuries, contract conflicts, or personal reasons, is not new. The similar pattern appeared during his stint at light heavyweight. As expected, fights with contenders such as Anthony Johnson never happened. However, Aspinall's perception varies. The British champion is seen as both the next obvious opponent and a real stylistic threat.
That'll never happen. Gun to my head, I would have said Jon Jones will beat him right now. I would have said he'll probably beat him right now. Because guess why? Tom has never been pushed into those championship rounds. But if Tom gets to those once he gets to those championship rounds, even now, say Cyril Gane pushes him 25 minutes. And if he beats Cyril Gane, but he learns to go 25 minutes where that first time you feel that I gotta get up off that stool after the third round. Tom hasn't gotten off the stool.
Joe Rogan, who has closely watched Jones's career since its inception, disagrees with the premise that a fight with Aspinall would not improve Jones' legacy. I think he's wrong because I think Aspinall is a star. Rogan stated on his podcast during a talk with Corey Sandhagen. Rogan stated how often he gets asked about the possible battle, even by casual fans, is Jon Jones going to face Tom Aspinall? He stated that it is the most popular question he gets. That amount of attention alone shows that the battle is more valuable than Jones may have publicly acknowledged.
Going to be those people
wasted a part of his life in the UFC.
There's going to be those people that'll say that Jon Jones is his own worst enemy, and Tom Aspinall's lucky that Jon got in his own way.
I just hope it stops. Like, I hope, okay, this is it. He's going to really learn his lesson this time and no more. Dude, and again, we have no idea the pressure of being Jon Jones and a celebrity. Like, it's got to be insane. There's been so many great Jon Jones moments inside the cage.
Rogan also shared his thoughts on what the real misfight was. Jon Jones versus Francis Ngannou. To me, the real bout would have been Jon Jones versus Francis. He added, Francis is the scariest heavyweight of all time. He flattens people. He is terrifying. Rogan believes that Ngannou would have offered the type of challenge that defines an age. Instead, Ngannou departed the UFC, claiming contractual issues, and has since participated in boxing while staying out of the UFC's plans. Dana White, for his part, claimed that he is no longer interested in bringing Ngannou back.
I don't know, did you see his series of tweets over the last few days inferring that basically he told you guys that he was retired last November and that your efforts to make the Aspinall fight were basically futile?
It's not true.
Okay.
Yeah. Is that what you wanted to ask me?
Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you. But what do you make of him coming out and saying saying contrary to what you've said there?
I don't know. I'm telling you the truth. Believe who you want to believe.
That leaves Aspinall as Jones' clearest and most likely choice if he does return. Unlike Ngannou, Aspinall is active, under contract, and currently owns the unchallenged title. The UFC has everything it takes to build the bout: a belt, a date, a story, and a location, possibly the White House, as previously explained in response to Trump's request. And Dana White's reaction. Jones stays in the testing pool and will be eligible to compete again in January 2026. The time coincides with a projected White House ceremony commemorating the United States' 150th anniversary of independence. So, do you believe this fight will finally happen? Please share your views below and subscribe for future updates.